The world of Terminus is inhabited by creatures of all nature, from the smallest critters to the largest beasts, some endowed with magic, giving them the power beyond what their mortal bodies could muster. Others, who are determined to use their muscle and their metal of their souls to traverse the world seeking grand adventure. Begging the question, if you could choose their beginning, their heritage, their home, where might you vest those things that many hold so dear? Family, community, lineage, or perhaps their tribal hierarchy. The choice is given to you, adventurer. For those who join us in Terminus will be provided the opportunity to select their heritage through their race choice. The Archai were created to be a race of slaves. From a young age, the Archai master and harness the ability to use ethereal energy to bond them with the many elements of nature. Suffering no loss in their ability to be agile, the Archai have a formidable size compared to humans or elves. The Archai hail from an ancient crystalline planet, Roa, where they were pieced together from a race of purely magical beings. A dark celestial lord used his governance over a collective of skilled alchemic builders to have this race constructed, so that they could be used as slaves for his desires. After their creation, the Archai reproduced and found that upon their birth, their arcane core was weak, and that they were able to acclimate to their environmental surroundings, whether that be water, fire, wind, or mineral of the land. Once their true birth or acclimation had taken place, the Archai manifest the elements used for their acclimation through the markings on their flesh that shows as unique fractures in the exterior of their body with flames, liquid, heavy vapors, or even metals and minerals. A tragic beginning does not demand a static position in the universe. The Archai celebrate their origins, but remember that they are no longer an enslaved race. They maintain their valor and knowledge that they have broken the chains formerly binding them, having woefully defeated their captors long ago. Their endurance to be unmatched by their captors, they never gave up. They now flourish in both Terminus and Roa, known in Terminus for their unique cultural history, as well as jubilation, song, and display of such. Should you decide your game adventure begins as an Archai, you will find that as a living reservoir, mana draining effects are reduced when used against you, and that your ancestors' endurance and yours are one and the same. That no enemy can drain your endurance. Your true birth or elemental attunement will enhance your abilities of the nature, whether you are attuned to water, fire, wind, or earth. And with your attunement, you will also have an innate bonus to environmental acclimation of that same nature. Archai also have the advantage against the playful disposition. There are currently 5 options for class selection as Archai, a decision that is impactful and consequential as a player's character race selection. Available options include Druid, Monk, Shaman, Warrior, or Wizard. At a minimum, everyone should want to give each option a cursory inspection to determine which suits their expectations, intended game journey, and gameplay preferences best, while keeping in mind that race class could, and likely will, very much have an impact on the way the perception system presents itself to them on their journeys throughout Terminus. At first glance, selecting a Druid would lend itself to the Archai, as their true birth already provides them with an attunement to a specific element. Druids will also similarly be able to draw out aspects of the natural world and imbue them into other living things, offering increased power to players who are imbued. Druids will find themselves primarily relied upon to fill the healer role within a group. Druids use mana for spellcasting and are limited to cloth, light leather armor, and various blunt weapons, including clubs, maces, staves, quarterstaffs, and longstaff. An additional option is the Monk. The Monk class is also an option for the Archai. Historically, their endurance played a key role in the ability to throw off their oppressors, never giving up, thus lending itself to Monk as a class option. Monk's primary resource for combat is endurance. Archai cannot be drained of endurance via attacks made against your character. As well, monks use chi and chakra gates as part of their combat resources. The monk will find itself primarily filling the role of damage dealer. However, I speculate that certain abilities provided to the monk would allow for off-tanking in a pinch or situationally, or if they are exceptionally over-leveled for the content, they may be able to stand in as a tank. Though these things may simply be survival tools that are provided to the monk while making dangerous pulls or long-distance pulls. Monks will find they are able to equip cloth and light leather armor, and as well are limited to well-suited set of weapons, martial fists, fist weapons, and hand wraps. Shaman is another option for the Archai. Shaman primarily will fill the role of healer, using mana and vision as their casting resources. Shaman bolster their allies with powerful boons or cripple their foes with banes. Equipped with a wide range of weapons, daggers, short spears, long spears, clubs, maces, staves, quarterstaffs, long staffs, and covered it with armor options of cloth as well as light and heavy leather armors. Shamans have even been seen carrying shields. A standard among all the races save gnomes, Archai can become as fierce a warrior as any, with their above average size and undrainable endurance, making them a grand candidate for this role. Warriors almost defy the normal limits of physical strength, breaking through barriers on the battlefield. Remember, no double-edged sword is whole until both sides are sharpened, one with strength and the other with the mastery of combat and battle tactics. Warriors will primarily fill the role of tank, relying on endurance, resilience, and battle points to execute their actions and abilities. Warriors taking the brunt of incoming damage in battle would bode well to strap on heavy plate armor and shields. However, they are still capable of wearing everything from cloth to heavy plate. Masters of physical combat, warriors can select from a wide array of weapons, including daggers, short spears, long spears, swords, great swords, edged, great blade, axes, great axes, clubs, warhammers, great warhammers, maces, great maces, quarterstaff, polearms, fist weapons, short bows, and crossbows. Last but not least, Wizard, a class that conjures images of fire and ice like no other, a class which studies arcane power. Archai have been created from a race of purely magical beings and are well suited to study, manage, and even master the arcane arts. Primarily a damage dealer within the group setting, wizards will use mana and focus as they wreak havoc on their foes, even able to conjure familiars to aid them as they deliver unrivaled magical damage. Wizards need only use cloth armor and arcane shields to guard themselves, as they are not intended to be in the frenzy of battle, as much the same way they would carry with them a dagger, sword, club, stave, quarterstaff, longstaff, generally not intended for physical use, but to bolster their arcane abilities. Evaluating the Archai, I feel that there are three options that lend themselves to this race as far as a race class combination. Class fantasy and current knowledge of the game would lead me to believe that there are a few powerful race class options for the Archai that exist. In my opinion, the Archai would be well suited for the role of Druid, because by both race and class, they are capable of attuning to their surrounding environments and gain power or strength from this. Additionally, a healer who is reduced effects from mana drain abilities used against them is always a nice bonus. As well, I believe Monk is another strong choice, as endurance is a major combat resource for the Monk. The Archai, as a racial feature, are immune to effects which would drain their endurance, where other races would be susceptible to loss of this resource, and in turn be more limited in what they can do under such a circumstance. Lastly, but definitely not the least, Archai are a powerful contender for the role of Wizard, as they can be attuned through True Birth or as listed, their Elemental Attunement, which grants them a bonus to the effectiveness of elemental-based abilities, based on which attunement they chose, fire, water, wind, or earth. This attuned element provides the Archai with an 8 bonus to their acclamation score in the attuned area, in my opinion, lending itself well for a fire attunement and fire spells a wizard would use to best their foes.